Disclaimer. This episode contains graphic descriptions of violence that may be disturbing to some listeners. Please be advised.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, hey there. My name's Taylor. I'm just kidding, but I am Taylor.
I'm Mandy.
I'm Amanda.
And you're listening to Pop, Crime, and Wine.
Welcome.
Welcome.
This is episode 13.
Lucky number 13.
We're super excited about this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we're recording this during the day, which is very terribly strange for us. Day drinking is not terribly strange to us, but
I know. I was going to say, well, that's fairly normal.
we usually do this at night, and so
Yes.
it kind of feels a little weird.
It is weird.
But it is rainy and gross outside, so I feel
very
like
dark.
that, like, I thought that it was nighttime driving over here, just in general. I was like, there's no way it's only 2 in the afternoon.
I was in my room, and it's like a little cave in there. And I have a huge window, and it's still just dark. So I have all my little lights on, which I kind of like. I like dark and dreary days sometime.
Oh yeah, Mandy's already fallified our house.
Just a little.
Just a little enough for me to notice.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
I got my little orange lights out there with some leaves. Artificial.
I can't
It's not
remember
white.
if I turned my oven off or not.
Oh gosh.
Can you turn... Is it like one of those fancy ones that you can like...
I was about to say
Wish.
one day we'll just be able to turn
Yeah.
off all of our ovens from like inside.
they
I'm
have,
pretty
like, an
sure
app
that I
on your
did.
phone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. I'm just like a psycho, so...
Well, ours almost started on fire the other night.
Oh yeah, it caught
So-
fire. We were making
Yeah.
dinner in it, and all of a sudden we heard this. It sounded like the dishwashing, not the dishwasher, but the garbage disposal.
Yeah.
And I was like, did someone just turn on the garbage disposal? And no one was over there. And my brother walked over and he was like, oh my gosh, it's on fire. And he's funny.
And Taylor and I
he
are like, ah.
jokes around. Well, at first
no, it's not.
I was like, he's just kidding. And then he's like, no, really it is. And Mandy like jumped up and is running over there. And I'm like, he's joking. Like, how are you falling
And then
for
I got
this
over
right now?
there, and this like corner of the bottom burner is like white hot, almost on fire. It's smoking, and it's like something shorted out. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
So now we can't bake things.
Oh, no.
It's real sad.
It's really sad.
No muffins, no cinnamon rolls.
mean,
When
it's
do
not
you
like-
make muffins?
But now
Never,
we don't
but
even
now
have
I-
the option.
now I want to. Now that I can't, it's like on my mind currently.
I'm pretty sure my oven is at home preheated already for it. So let's go over there and make
should
some
make some
muffins.
cookies
Perfect.
for us.
I'm in. So who is our sponsor this week?
Oh, our sponsor is Mr. Matthew Henry.
Ooh, Matthew.
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 Let's all say his name. Matthew.
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 Hey, Matthew.
Matthew.
Are you trying to tell someone to do their homework? Matthew. You,
In
Matt.
broken English,
You plus math.
Matthew.
Matthew.
All right.
Anyway, Matthew, he ordered us this wine through his dad's wine club membership. And he wanted us to have this because our first murderer in episode 1 was named Stephen. So,
Oh yeah, that was Stephen McDaniels.
Wow.
yep. So this is
McDaniels, yeah.
wine called F. Stephen Millier.
Millier.
Black label.
Black label. Yeah.
And it's a cab, and we all know that that's one of our faves.
And it's 2016.
Good year.
Why do you guys love 2016 so much?
Because it's so much better than 2017. It's been like in this bottle for 2 years now.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I just
which
say
means
it.
it's better.
Because it's something that people say.
Oh,
Ooh,
that's a good year.
2016.
Yeah, it's a
that's
good
such
year.
a good year.
It doesn't mean anything
I think
to me.
it's supposed to be like the earlier the year, the better the wine, right?
Depending upon the wine.
Yeah, I guess.
Like
that's
some
true.
wine is good aged and some
Some
is
isn't,
not.
It's
yeah.
not. Oh. Well,
Do you know
All
what
right.
I
I mean,
learned
I
recently?
don't actually know that because I drink wine as soon as I get it.
Do you know what I learned,
Yes,
though? This
but-
is kind of a fun fact.
What's that?
Is that wine, when you bottle it, like it'll age in the bottle. But if you bottle like whiskey, it doesn't age. So
Right.
as soon as like, if you get a Jack Daniels bottle from like 300 years ago, that has never been opened, it'll taste exactly the same as whenever it was bottled.
That's strange.
So, like, if you buy older bottles of, like, whiskey, then you're just buying, like, if you're just paying more for the bottle itself and not for what's inside of it.
Weird.
But it would be really sweet to have like a 300-old bottle of wine
Yeah.
or of whiskey.
I mean, it'd be super cool, but
I'm sure it would be nasty.
don't think that
though.
it's going to taste any different. It'll taste exactly the
wait.
same.
Okay,
But
so
it'll be,
is it the same with like?
nasty because of the way that they made whiskey back then? Like,
Well, I mean, if you buy a bottle of Jack
probably
Daniels,
more
it
like
probably
gasoline.
tastes exactly the same. They've never changed the formula.
Jack Daniels does taste like gasoline. What were you gonna say?
But I was gonna say, I wonder if it's the same with like bourbon, because I am an avid Lost fan, and Penny's dad. Anyone who's listening who enjoys Lost, because these two are not listening to me right now.
I love Lost.
Do you?
We've talked about this.
What?
Yes.
No, we have not.
Yes, we've
She
talked
has
about this
this
multiple
reaction
times.
every time that I tell her I've never seen it, and she's like, "You've
Mark
never
has
seen
never
Lost."
seen it either.
No,
but
that's why I was like,
love Lost.
you-
I watched
Maybe
the
it's-
entire series in a week.
Okay, so do you remember Penny's dad who
Yes.
had that bottle of it was either bourbon or whiskey?
I think it was bourbon.
And he was like, this, like, one single shot of this, bourbon is worth more than you get paid in a year, and all this crazy stuff. And so Desmond never got to try it, and then when he was on the island and it floated up, and he like got wasted just drinking all of it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I
I don't know
think
why I
that-
brought that up.
Well, I don't think that it
It made me
ages.
question, how much
Bourbon ages in the barrel, so like bourbon ages longer than whiskey, because whiskey, like, they have like a certain time period, and they're like, it's like 2 years or whatever it is.
And then it's
Where
done.
bourbon is like a little bit longer, and that's how it gets more of the flavors and stuff.
See, you
So
learn
many
something
things.
new every
Learn something
day.
every day.
Hopefully,
So
I'm
let's
not
bottle-
incorrect, and I'm telling you guys all this stuff.
Are you about to Google it right
Open
now?
this bottle.
No.
Oh.
Let's make this bottle open.
Pop it. Nice.
Ooh. That was a really easy pull.
It was.
Oh, especially since the last
The
few
last
have
like
been so
3, I've
difficult.
ripped the cork out.
yeah.
I'm usually really good. At
Maybe you've
I'm
gotten,
usually really
maybe
good.
you've just had more practice recently.
I have to sneeze. Oh, my eyes are watering now.
Isn't there something where you can like say elephant or something?
What?
I don't know. I think
Say
that-
elephant and you sneeze? Thank you.
Or you like stick a finger in your nose.
No, if I touch my nose, then it goes away.
Oh, maybe that's it.
I need to. I like sneezing.
Put your tongue on the roof of your mouth.
No.
Wait, isn't that for smiling? You put your tongue on the roof of your mouth when you smile so your gums don't show?
That's
That is the most awkward feeling I've ever done. I want everyone at home to do this.
Everyone try it.
Does this look natural?
I look like I'm in pain.
That's good. Solid wine.
Ooh, yeah, this wine
Yeah, I
is
haven't tasted
wonderful.
We have.
It smells good. It smells like
I don't think that we've actually ever had a wine that
I know.
wasn't good. So every time we
was
taste it,
gonna
we're like,
say,
oh,
like,
this is so good.
But it is.
someone give
Maybe
us a
one
bottle
day.
of not good wine so that we can have
Well,
the
don't
adverse
do that.
reaction.
I don't want to have to drink your nasty wine.
Yep.
It smells, I know this sounds really stupid, but it smells like grapes. Like it smells more like I feel like
Yes.
I feel like it smells more like grapes than other wines have.
So it's just fruity.
But it doesn't
I don't think it's fruity.
It doesn't
taste
taste
fruity
fruity.
to me.
but it literally smells like straight grapes.
It almost tastes
sounds stupid,
savory
but-
to me. Like a savory wine. Is that a thing?
I don't know. It can be.
It is now.
Yes.
All right, what's our pop culture this week?
Well, we. It's not funny. It's just that Amanda, the way that she explained it when she was like, when we were texting about it, she's like, I just want to prove her wrong.
Who wrong?
You.
Oh, fuck, what?
We're talking about pumpkin spice and all things fall.
Like the origins of some fall traditions.
Okay.
Taylor said that this wasn't going to be enough to talk about, so we were
Pumpkin
like,
spice.
we're gonna.
Oh, God.
We're gonna do it.
She was like, it's a good
So
side
rude.
topic, and we're like, no, we're gonna make it a full topic.
Nope, we're gonna talk
God.
about it. I got a bunch.
I mean,
did
I
find a
hope
bunch.
you're right, because if not, this will be a very boring episode.
It's
So
not gonna be boring.
I hope that I'm
There's a
incorrect.
bunch of weird shit.
It is, yeah. It was.
Some of these fall traditions I had no idea. And I cannot believe I didn't look them up until now.
Yeah, especially since I think
Wait,
I can
so-
speak for all of us.
I will say, when you did come to me with the idea, it was more just pumpkin spice. It wasn't
that's
pumpkin spice and fall traditions.
Yeah, we added that
Yeah,
up.
we added that
And
after we
you
were
know
like,
why
oh.
you added that? Do you know why you added that? Because pumpkin spice is not a good enough topic on its own, because it's a
You're
side
getting real
topic.
heated right now. She's
'Cause-
talking with her hands like an
Listen.
Italian. It's getting scary.
Only because you
Like a
started this
teacher.
off by saying, I want to prove her wrong.
We're getting scolded.
Obviously,
But
I'm
we're
on the
not-
defensive.
yeah, we're not proving her
We're
wrong,
grounded
though, because
later,
we did
so.
talk about more than just pumpkin spice.
You're grounded.
And we just got the eye roll.
Okay, begin.
Begin.
Yeah.
So, pumpkin spice.
Yes, pumpkin spice. Everything is pumpkin spice. Also, we decided to talk about all things fall because it is officially fall.
Yes.
But it doesn't
As of yesterday,
feel
right?
like fall.
2
Well,
days
this
ago.
comes out in a week.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
But it's officially fall.
I'll edit that out.
You right.
But it doesn't feel like fall, so I figured that
Mm-hmm.
if we started talking about fall, maybe the universe would fall in line and start
fall in
feeling
line.
like
I
it.
like that. That was a good play on words.
Yeah, fall in
The
line,
Midwestern.
universe.
Yeah, I just put out those leaves and those lights and my little fake gourds. So I'm ready. I've been ready.
Have you guys seen my toenails? They're matte black because I'm ready for Halloween.
Oh, I just wear black all year round.
Well, I only wear it.
Last time I got a
during Halloween.
pedicure, I was like, I picked out the color and she's like, you want black? And I was like, uh-huh. She was like, it's still summer. Are you sure? You should get red. And I'm like, nope.
Nope.
Red is not a summer color.
It's like summery. Anyway,
Red is like Christmassy.
so
Yeah.
pumpkin spice officially is the mixture of cinnamon, ground ginger, nutmeg, allspice, and ground cloves. So pumpkin spice is not like one thing. It's just a mixture. And McCormick started bundling common spices together to make pumpkin pie spice because in the 1950s, because people got too lazy to measure out their own spices. And so they capitalized on people's laziness. But the pumpkin spice latte didn't come out until
2003.
2003. Thank you. From an NBA. He was a basketball player. His name is Peter Dukes.
Dukes.
Yeah, Peter Dukes. He was at Stanford and he was asked to make a new branded espresso drink for Starbucks.
Peter Dukes.
And he decided to
We're probably related, which means I am the heiress of the, pumpkin spice latte
Empire.
empire. Yep.
It makes sense because you do love your pumpkin spice.
I do. It's true.
give me that PSL.
I am probably one of the few people in the world that doesn't like pumpkin spice anything.
Do you
I
like
like it.
pumpkin things?
Like pumpkin
pumpkin
pie?
muffins and pumpkin pie?
No.
And
Or
I'll
the
do like a
pumpkin
little-
bars.
Like, okay, so
cheesecake.
I will have one
Ooh,
PSL
yes.
a year, and that is usually on Black Friday. Because
Do you
we're
partake?
usually at Target and we're like, okay, well, let's just get a PSL.
You partake in Black Friday.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
girl.
No.
Yes.
It's mostly just because of the people. Like, I very much enjoy the sales. Like, I think it's fucking awesome. But, like, I would rather do the online Black Friday
Cyber
stuff. And
Monday.
then the Cyber Monday,
well, the
like,
Cyber Monday.
you don't have to stand in line anymore.
Mark and I do
Both?
Well, yeah, we do both, but like we have we don't really do anything for Thanksgiving. We go to my dad's house and eat Thanksgiving dinner at like 2, so we don't have anything else to do.
Right.
And usually like lately the stores have been opening at 6:00 on Thursday night, and we're like, well, we could sit at home and watch TV, or we could just go out and watch people. And
Right.
we have so much fun just people watching.
See,
on
that's
Sunday.
nice.
That's good.
If it's like an experience,
Yeah,
for
it's
you
a
guys.
date that
Yeah.
we have it
hilarious.
set up. Like we were like, oh, should we go somewhere for Thanksgiving this year? And both of us were like, oh, but we'd miss out on Black Friday. Like,
starting at 6.
Do you like
on Thursday.
save up money for all of the deals throughout the year? Or are you like, okay, Black Friday, we're going to get a TV? Like people go in and get big shit for
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars that are normally thousands of dollars, but
Right.
it's still a lot of money. to-
yeah, I mean, I don't think we like specifically save for it. We just spend it.
Yeah. And then you're like,
Usually
oh.
one of us gets paid right around there. So we're like, oh yeah,
That's good.
let's spend all of our money. Black Friday started because they started referring to it as Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, when the city would be awash with rowdy fans attending the Army-Navy football game. And it started in Philadelphia. And they retailers took advantage of the crowds by having sales and calling the day Big Friday, but the police term for it stuck. By the 1980s, the discounts and super sales started creeping across the nation, and now it's called that because whenever you have sales, if you're in the black, it means that you're like even higher.
Right.
In the red is when you're losing money.
bad, yeah.
Being in the black is like when you're like having
over
too
what
much
you-
money.
Yeah.
And so it was this huge fanatic thing in Philadelphia that just kind of like took over the world, and now we have Black Friday.
Interesting.
Where people die when they get stamped
I
or
think-
stamped on. What if
Stumped
stamped
on.
on? Wow.
Trampled?
Trampled. I
Yeah,
think
that's
is what I was
good.
trying to say, but failed.
I think I've only ever Black Friday shopped like a few times. And even when I go, I don't seem to find like the deals that I want.
Yeah, I'm like, they're not like good
They're
enough
not
for
they're
me.
not good enough for me to wake up
Yeah.
early or like stay out really late and, you know.
I went once with an old roommate when I first moved here because I worked at Target.
Oh.
And so I also had the employee discount on top of it. And I was like, what's up? Target deals. I think all I got was like a couple DVDs and some clothes. It wasn't, I think I was over it pretty fast.
That's
but then
good
we
they
went to
didn't
Waffle House.
make you work Black Friday because that would be worse, I think.
Yeah, no, I worked every
Working
other
it.
holiday. I think I worked on Thanksgiving and then Christmas as well. Well, okay. I had Oktoberfest.
Oh yeah.
And I love Oktoberfest. I love
also
Oktoberfest.
love
I love their
Oktoberfest.
beer. I love all the, special brews that everybody does.
Oh
I'm
man,
a fan.
we should have done like a special Oktoberfest episode where we drink
We still
beer.
can. We still have like 2 or 3 more episodes for October.
Yeah, that's true.
And it goes until October. Okay, it starts the 3rd weekend of September and ends the 1st Sunday of October. That's officially Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
It was created to commemorate the wedding of Bavarian Crown Prince Ludwig to Princess Therese of Saxony Hildburghausen. Sounds about right. On October 12th, 1810. And by 1896, beer stands had given way to beer tents. So, and then after that, it just kind of grew as a tradition. And then, of course, people, made big events out of it. And it's a lot of fun. There's one in Germantown in Nashville soon.
Yeah, and they have weenie races.
Yep.
All
Yes.
the wiener races.
I went last time with my friend Amanda was visiting, and
Not me.
not you, one of my other Amandas, and they had those big, those big clear plastic like beach ball things that you go inside.
Oh yeah.
But they had
yeah.
those that they like that you could still have your legs out, so you just put it like on top of your torso or whatever over your head, and then you'd run at each other.
That's awesome.
They would
I've
just
seen those.
bounce off each other, and then like they were in this huge tent outside, and so basically like the winner was the last one that didn't get booted out of the tent. It was really fun to watch because everyone was just drunk as shit, and everyone's just running into each other in these big plastic balls.
I
Like
love that.
it was wonderful.
Oktoberfest has become like everyone get wasted and
Yeah.
just do crazy shit.
And
That's
eat
what
so much
Americans
food.
do
Eat
to anything.
sausages, all the
Sausage.
sausage.
I found information about corn mazes.
Yes,
Nice.
my next one. Yes, I love corn mazes, and also they're scary.
They're creepy, yeah.
What I thought was interesting is I never like thought about when they were created. They were only created in 1993 at Lebanon Valley College in Annville, Pennsylvania, which apparently a lot of these traditions come from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but if you think about it, that's where a lot of the first people from Europe came.
Oh, that's
And so
true.
they brought a lot of these traditions over.
In 1993.
Well, no.
I'm just kidding.
When they came over on the boat in 1993. No, I'm just kidding.
Don France was the creator of the first corn maze, and he's also been responsible for producing Super Bowl halftime shows and Broadway musicals such as like The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. I also wanted to say his name was Don France
Don France.
because that's how I said it in my head.
Oh, okay.
It's spelled like France with a Z at the end.
I also have the Southern
Don
A
France.
thing, so I'm like, France.
Don
France.
France.
So it's probably Don France is actually what it is, but in my
Don
mind, I'm like,
France.
oh, Don France. Here you
Don
go.
France, yeah, he did the corn mazes. Get kids lost. Man, and I'm one of those people that I would end up freaking out and cheating and like running through the corn. Like,
Oh,
not
yeah, because you can go through
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Because I would just find out where, because like then they have like a big pole with a flag on it where the entrance or exit is.
If you were a mouse, you would be one of those like cheating mice.
Yeah, they'd for
that,
sure
like,
kill me because they're like, this
they'd
is
be
not
like,
a good test
she
subject.
doesn't do it right.
But I do want the cheese, so I don't know. If there's cheese at the end of the corn maze, who knows?
says the girl from Wisconsin.
Maybe. Okay, trick-or-treating.
Oh, yeah, I liked this one too.
Yes.
There's so many fall traditions
I know.
that like
Yeah.
you don't think about being
Weird.
like, they just
traditions.
happened.
yeah, you're like, oh yeah, this is what we do.
That's just what it's been forever.
But I guess if you came from like another world and you came here and saw all the weird things that we did,
They'd be like, why?
they'd be like,
Why
what
for?
Yeah.
Why for
Do you go
this?
into the story of that woman whose garden kept getting messed up on the eve of Halloween? And so then she started like every year she would like try and throw a party so the kids wouldn't mess up her garden. And that's how like Halloween became the party thing that it is now. Oh,
We didn't
okay.
talk
Is that
about
like the mischief night or whatever?
Yeah, well, because I
I didn't touch on that, but I did read it.
I think
just-
I
I
have
watched
something
a
about that
Drunk
one.
History
yeah.
yesterday. Actually, I love that show so much, and it was vampires and this like the Halloween mischief night where it became more of like a party, and then finally, after the third year of her like putting out a big party like out in the middle of the city, people stopped ruining her garden.
Interesting. No,
Yeah.
I didn't.
I
read
don't
that.
remember what her name is or anything,
But if it was on Drunk History, it has to be true.
go watch
Oh,
Drunk
totally.
History because it's definitely true.
That shows. No, okay. Trick or treating. It became popular in the U.S. in around the 1920s and 1930s, but it did have to be put on hold during World War II due to sugar rations, which is scary to think about. It came back afterwards with a lot of popularity, and then it became what it is today.
I also read that UNICEF made it super popular because people would raise money, like trick or treat for UNICEF. I remember that
What is
being
UNICEF?
That's why I didn't touch on it because I didn't know what it was. And
I know what it is. It's like, but I remember having UNICEF as a kid.
UNICEF, the United Nations Children Fund, is a United Nations agency headquartered in New York City that provides humanitarian and developmental assistance to children and mothers in developing countries.
Yep, that
Nice. Okay.
UNICEF.
Good to know.
I do remember it. It's
I've
just
heard
that
it. I just didn't know what it
Yeah.
actually was.
It was always on the back of like the trick or treat bags, and like
Yes.
you could like, and if you bought certain candies, like it raised money for it and everything.
nice.
And you could take the bag and like put your like the donations and stuff in it. And
Thank you, UNICEF.
Yeah,
I want to do the apple bobbing one.
I was just gonna.
You're gonna do it?
No, you can do apple bobbing
Because I thought it was just so weird.
it's
Where
really
al-
interesting.
Have you ever bobbed for apples?
Yeah.
I hate bobbing.
Yeah.
I don't
make-
like putting my face in water.
See, and I'm like terrified I'm gonna drown.
Especially if you have like makeup on. That sounds
TT.
that sounds
Come on.
real not fun.
Okay, it started in Great Britain. It was a British courting ritual in the 1800s where each apple was assigned the name of an eligible bachelor, and each woman would try to grab the apple representing the man she was interested in.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
so
love
it's like
that.
Tinder.
but
No, I'm just kidding.
with your mouth.
But with your mouth, but
God.
still Tinder. So it meant different things if you could actually like get the apple that you wanted. So if you got it on the first try, it meant a happily ever after ending. So
Okay.
that was good. If you got it on the second try, it meant that you would get together with that person and you'd be a couple, but then they would end up splitting up eventually. The love wouldn't last. And then the third try was just
Not gonna happen.
no go. I just thought that was hilarious.
That's really interesting.
And then now we just do it, just cuz.
Just for fun.
We don't have-
I mean,
yeah.
I don't think people actually really still do it. I haven't
Oh, we still
seen
do it
a
up
bobbing
north.
for apple place in like since I was a child. Probably.
I'm gonna say in Berlin, Wisconsin, my hometown, we have pumpkins on petunias every fall, and they would have bobbing for apples. We'd also have this contest, and we would put markings on the street. There's a number on all these lines in the street that ran down our one main street, and then they would walk a cow down the street, and you would place bets on where they would poop.
These are so weird.
Mandy.
Also, the biggest pumpkin contest was there for pumpkins on petunias, and then afterwards they would lift it up with a tractor and then drop it.
You should tell this story at parties.
You definitely should.
From the look on your faces, I probably shouldn't. Like, can you stop talking now? Is this place real?
Oh gosh.
Okay, so there's a holiday that not many people know about called November 5th, and there is a movie about it called V for Vendetta, and it's a great one.
Go on.
But in 1605, a group of Catholics conspired to assassinate England's Protestant monarch, King James I, and install a Catholic monarch. Guy Fawkes was a Catholic soldier participating in this conspiracy, and they called the conspiracy the Gunpowder Plot, and they planned to blow up British Parliament and kill the king. But in early November, Fox was caught and arrested while guarding a stockpile of gunpowder, and the plot was foiled. So every November 5th, thousands of British people celebrate Guy Fawkes Night by lighting bonfires, burning effigies of Fox, and watching fireworks.
So, side note, they do this in New Zealand as well.
Really?
When I was there in November, all the fireworks are going off. I was like, what is this like? It feels like July 4th. And he's
Yeah.
like, it's November 5th. Like, what are you talking about? You guys don't celebrate November 5th? And I was like, no,
We're not under the queen.
not really. Yeah.
It's probably anyone that's under the monarchy.
Yeah,
Celebrates it.
It was fun.
Yeah, we should start
very
it.
cool.
Let's
We
start
probably
Guy Fawkes
should.
Night.
Yes.
Let's bring it to
in.
America.
So I want to dedicate this one to my husband, Movember.
I knew it.
Yep. So he actually doesn't do it just in November. It's usually just, when
All the
he's
time.
for no.
I'm like, my husband does it just all the time.
He usually can't have facial hair because of the fire department. So
Oh, yeah.
he usually has to be clean shaven. So when he's on deployment now, and usually when he goes off for training and stuff with the guard, he and his friends will leave their mustaches go. It's a thing, I guess.
Yeah.
So it started in a pub, like most amazing
Great
things
idea.
Like
do.
England or
In
something?
1999. No, South Australia.
Oh.
Adelaide.
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 A group of guys came up with the idea to raise money and awareness for charities by growing their mustaches out for a month. By 2013, other organizations grabbed onto the idea. The Movember Foundation has raised more than $710 million for men's health causes such as testicular cancer, prostate cancer, mental health, and suicide prevention.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's good shit.
Yeah. It's a great cause.
Yeah. And I think it's hilarious.
I don't know how I feel about just mustache. Although my dad does it really, really well.
My dad has always had a mustache.
I don't know how I feel about just mustaches.
They're creepy.
It's like
the porn stash.
The porn stash.
okay, like I don't
The
like
Fu
thinking about that.
Manchu, like all the things, or Adolf Hitler, like all the just mustaches. I don't know.
I mean,
Unless it's one of those French curly ones.
there's a place for them.
Yeah, I mean, this is for a good cause, so do it.
Yeah.
But I've only heard of men who are growing out their beards, not just their mustaches.
I think those are the ones that are just too lazy to
Yep,
shave.
to
their
shave
hair.
the
They're
beard,
like,
but
let
not
me
the
just do
mustache.
this.
Yeah.
Just let all of our hair grow everywhere.
I wanted to talk about why we carve pumpkins.
Yep.
So as far back as the 1500s, Irish people told a story about Stingy Jack, a blacksmith who made a deal with the devil to never claim his soul. But when he died, God wouldn't let him into heaven either. So Jack was doomed to walk the earth for all eternity, with only a burning coal to light his way, which he carried in a turnip he had carved out. He roams the world to this day as Jack of the Lantern, or Jack-o'-lantern. Irish immigrants eventually brought the tale to the U.S., as well as the related tradition of turnip carving. Since pumpkins were plentiful in the U.S. and allowed more room for candles, they quickly became the veggie of choice.
Huh.
I thought that was really interesting.
That is interesting.
You should Google pictures of carved turnips.
Weird.
Because they're terrifying. And when I first saw them, I mean, they're far more scary than
I feel like
pumpkins.
it would take a lot more skill too, because they're so much smaller.
Yeah.
You have to like really get intricate into
and
it.
they're not there's not enough room for detail, so they're all very I don't know, rough. Makes them scarier.
Yeah, like jagged.
I did do candy corn.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
do
I
that.
do
It
love
was
candy
invented. It
corn.
was super short.
It's pretty much
Invented
just sugar, right? It's
Yeah.
so good.
It was invented in the 1880s by George Renninger, a candy maker at the Wonderl Candy Company. The tricolor treat was originally called Chicken Feed
Ooh.
when the Golitz Candy Company brought it to the masses. So, I'm
I'm
glad
gonna
that
I'm gonna start calling it chicken feed.
Chicken Feed.
Do you bring any chicken feed with you?
I think that only chickens should eat it. Just my own
I'm a
personal-
chick.
Oh, I see what you did.
Oh, I just brought in a dad joke. Let's keep going.
Oh.
I have 3 more that I thought were really
Go for it.
interesting. Okay, so one of them was something that I didn't realize was a tradition until this past year. But on Thanksgiving, the president always pardons a turkey.
Yeah, I love that.
And I never knew that until, I'm not even kidding, probably last year. The tradition may date back to Abraham Lincoln, who is said to have pardoned a turkey named Jack that his son had befriended, but no real documentation for the turkey pardon exists until John F. Kennedy, who let a turkey given to him by the National Turkey Federation roam free. Mm-hmm. But I still think this is a pretty cool tradition.
I love
that's
it.
Cute.
And then, so I am a huge football fan. Mandy also is a huge football fan.
Go Pack.
And go Pack. And we are trying to turn Taylor into a football fan.
Good luck.
Which
So
she
far,
did,
It's not working.
but she did
I
watch,
did watch
the Packers game.
I watched the Packers game,
and
but
texted about it.
I was in Wisconsin, so I kind of had to.
That's a
she
good point.
said real things about it.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, do you see that guy getting carted off the field? He's a big, player. I know it." Everyone's really upset.
Same as
Everyone's so upset.
and he's hot. Aaron Rodgers.
He's not hot.
has a great
I'll
beard.
just put this out
Okay,
there.
let's just say-
definitely not hot.
That he is beautiful, and I don't know why you don't think that he's hot. Just because he's not Tom Brady.
Hey,
who
I'm
isn't
not saying
hot
that
either.
Tom Brady is hot either. I'm saying
Who
he's
are you?
he's not my husband, and
Oh,
I
she
think my
got
husband
married
is
and
very
now
hot.
things have changed because she used to be in love with Tom Brady.
I was never in
Things
love with
change.
Tom Brady. I just didn't mind looking at him.
Thank you, Sam, for helping her have morals. Okay, so there is always football on Thanksgiving. And the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys always play. And the Detroit Lions have taken the field since 1934 when the team moved to Detroit from Ohio. To get the city excited about the franchise, the owner came up with the idea of having a game on Thanksgiving. Because he was well connected, the owner managed to convince NBC to broadcast the game on 94 stations across the U.S., and it worked. The Lions filled the stadium to capacity and had to turn away fans at the gate. When the Dallas Cowboys picked up on the marketing scheme in 1966, fans broke the attendance record. Both teams have upheld the Turkey Day tradition every year since. So that's
I feel
pretty
bad
cool.
for the players, but how much did you say how much they get paid?
No,
Hopefully more on that day.
but I'm sure that they make
Really?
enough money just in general.
well, I guess they get
It's not per
paid
game, it's,
during the
salary.
year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Also,
But that sucks.
I mean,
to
people,
not.
a lot of people work on Thanksgiving, like everyone in retail, or I worked at Blockbuster, which is RIP, but
Yeah, but this is like an all day thing, kind of, right?
well, they usually play at home, so Like,
Well, one team has to not be at home.
well, they chose this life. They get paid millions of dollars.
That's true. I don't feel bad for them.
Yeah, like, I worked at Target and I had to work.
But
on
then you got
holidays.
Black Friday off.
And what's your point? And then the last one that I wanted to talk about was the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And the spectacle debuted in 1924 and was mainly meant to create publicity for the expansion of Macy's flagship Manhattan store, which would now cover an entire city block and became the self-proclaimed world's largest store. How do you make yourself the world's largest store?
You just declare it.
But didn't they? Okay, so I remember in our first episode or the second, we said that Macy's declared bankruptcy, right?
But they have the world's largest store.
Okay.
Not anymore. It was at the time.
Okay.
The parade was such a hit that they decided to make it an annual event, switching to a Thanksgiving Day celebration in 1927. And so every year since then, they've been doing it.
I just never understood it. Like, I love parades as much as the next person.
Just a lot of really big balloons and people cheering.
Yeah.
I just think of what's that movie
Watching it on
with
TV isn't the same as being there.
What's the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Terminator.
No,
the one with the Jingle
Turbo
All the
Man
Way?
or something. Jingle All the Way, yeah. And
Yeah.
they have Turbo Man, and they end up going. And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be fun to go to. But now I think it's a little
like New
overrated.
Year's. It's like New Year's in New York.
Yeah,
It's just overrated.
But I think it's one of those things that would be cool to experience.
at least once.
Yeah, once in your life.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's
What
get
crime
into
do we
crime.
have?
So, Matthew
Matthew.
wanted us to do a cult crime, right?
Yeah, he said, here's a bottle of wine, but do a cult crime.
Nice.
So I did some research, and
rhymed.
surprisingly, I was looking for a very not that this one isn't crazy because it totally is. It's definitely crazy. There's blended beavers in it, just so you know.
I don't know what that
There's
means.
a preface.
Is that a term for sex?
I know.
No, it's like beavers blended up. You know,
Like actual animal
like actual
blenders?
beavers
like the
in
animal
a blender.
beavers in a blender. So it's a little strange.
It did sound
But
sexual.
I was looking for
Like, what's a blended
yeah.
beaver?
Wait, you haven't done the blended beaver
Is that
yet?
in the Kama Sutra?
I need to look up Urban Dictionary.
But I surprisingly, I didn't find as much on cults as I wanted to. I thought that there were some really, really crazy, unknown ones. And all of the ones I kept coming across were, obviously Jonestown and the,
Kool-Aid.
yeah, the Kool-Aid one.
drink
And
the
then
Kool-Aid.
also the one where they believed in aliens and that once they end their life, they'd be
Yes.
living on a different planet. The
yeah.
Heaven's Gate or something.
Yes, Heaven's Gate.
That was
And I
sad.
almost did that one, but then I was like, people know that one. I'm hoping that this one might be something that they don't necessarily know about.
What is it?
So I'm going to start off by asking you to imagine something. So I'm going to ask everyone at home who's listening to close your eyes.
Unless you're driving. Oh,
Oh, obviously don't close your eyes if you're driving. Just imagine.
really? That's so funny. Sorry. Okay.
You guys owe each other Cokes now. All right. So imagine being in a town that you grew up in. You meet your high school sweetheart, you get married, you have kids. You're living in this small rural town, farming community that literally has a population of 40.
Whoa.
Very small. But it's big, so it's big land. It's hundreds of thousands of acres of land, right?
So basically where Mandy's from.
Exactly. Except not 40. You have more than 40, right?
Basically.
Yeah, she has 42.
42.
And all of a sudden you start seeing people walking around in all red and purple. And you see machine guns and big trucks that are just driving past your house that have a bunch of building materials and homes, trailer homes that they're bringing in. And you're like, what the hell is going on? I don't know what's going on. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Just
yes.
being blown away by the fact that you literally see the same 40 people every day, and then all of a sudden there are all these new people and they're all wearing the same color and
like
they're bringing in
say-
truckloads of stuff.
That the red hat ladies or whatever.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
were their colors as well.
Yeah. So it turns out that your new neighbors bought a big piece of land down the road from you, and they are not farmers like you thought that they were.
Dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm actually very intrigued.
I am too. I've
So-
never heard this so far.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. Hopefully you haven't heard it once we get into the story. But okay, so I'm going to start with the leader of this group. And he goes by many names. I'm going to refer to him as Rajneesh. Okay. But he was born Chandra Mohan Jain. I'm not sure.
Festive.
He went by Bhagwan, Shri Rajneesh, and Osho. So he's got a bunch of different names for different like parts of his life. I guess he's changed it around and people would call him different things.
Okay.
But Rajneesh was an Indian godman and he was the leader of a movement called the Rajneesh movement. Very original. In the 60s, he traveled through India as a speaker and he was a critic of socialism. He was said to be like a second Buddha. Like people praised him and pretty much thought.
Did he call himself that? Or did like his people call him
So in the documentary I watched, someone who was being interviewed said that people would call him the second Buddha. So I'm not entirely sure whether he called himself that.
Okay.
But he definitely thought highly of himself.
Okay.
And you'll see why soon. So this little girl who ended up being his secretary, his social secretary later on in life, went to go see him for the first time with her father. And she said that the way she felt when she went in and gave this man a hug, it was like her head was melting into him. That's the way she described it. Like he gave people peace just by touching them. And if you've ever seen The Leftovers, there is a guy in it who kind of takes on this thing, and people pay big money to be in a room with him just so he'll touch them, because it'll take all their pain away and it'll take all their like hatred and their whatever's going on in their life, and it'll mean nothing anymore. It'll literally just drain away, and then they're new when they leave the room. So it kind of reminded me of that when I was researching the topic. So he saw importance in meditation, in mindfulness, in love, celebration, courage, creativity, humor, and your sexual expression. All things that he thought that this world repressed or suppressed. Suppressed? Yeah.
Suppressed.
So that being said, he gained a very large following because people wanted to be open with their sexual needs and open with their, it made people feel good to be able to be themselves 100% of the time. So he had thousands of followers who would literally go wherever he went.
It's like the original Instagram followers.
Yeah.
But like,
but
for
actually
reals.
physically following him.
Creepy.
And he had this banner behind him in some photos that I found that said, "Surrender to me and I will transform you." People would come just to see him, get a chance to talk to him, and they would bring gifts and money and resources. And one thing that happened in his therapy sessions, like he would have big groups of people. So there'd be like 1,000 people in a room, and you would start out by doing this chaotic breathing exercise, and you'd be like, like crazy shit. I watched this video and it made me so uncomfortable.
I think I'd pass out if I did that.
So yeah, chaotic breathing, and then you would go into like these movements, and people would just like whatever God wanted them to do, they would like move that way, and then they'd start making these crazy like like crazy sounds,
like speaking in tongues, but
like speaking in tongues,
but
yeah,
like
and they're
also
like
with
screaming,
breathing.
and they're like, yeah, it's just absolutely the craziest thing that I've ever seen in my life, and I was afraid. But
Weird.
so it was like that, and he claimed to be able to see someone without words. Like if he touched someone, he like knew them. And there were also orgies.
Of course.
well, yeah, saw that.
There's a lot of sexual stuff going on. And I did see this video where there were just a bunch of people and they're all like gyrating together. And he was sitting in this chair and he would just like put his hand on where someone's third eye would be, like in between their eyes on their forehead. And he was doing this really sexual like movement with his fingers.
Gross.
And as he was doing that, like a girl would be behind that person and they'd be like gyrating on them. And everyone was just like moaning, and
That's highly disturbing.
yeah, it was very weird, but people loved it.
I I just don't. It's hard for me to get like how people go from being like, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you," to like believing that this person is like.
Cults are fascinating to me because I just don't understand how normal people can go there.
I don't think that it's ever normal people.
They definitely prey upon people who are easily manipulated, who want to believe in what they're selling.
That's true. It's like usually desperate people.
And in this, like a lot of homeless people and a lot of people who have been like thrown out by their families or drug addicts or, people who are just lost and down and need something to believe in. Sometimes they get pulled into the wrong direction and into orgies. So in 1981, they moved to the U.S. They relocated. He brought on that little girl I was talking about earlier who said, her head was like melting. She became his new social secretary. And when he took a vow of silence, he was silent for like 3 years straight. And he let her be his voice. So she went to the U.S. and was like scoping out all these places. And in a week, she found this place in Oregon called, so it used to be Big Muddy Ranch, Oregon. And it's this...
Big Money Ranch?
Big Muddy Ranch.
Oh, I thought you said Big Money.
I'm sorry, not big. But it did cost them $5 million.
So it is big money.
It was big money. It's desert land, and it's the size of Manhattan. So it's a very large piece of land.
You said Montana?
Oregon.
Oregon. Okay.
I love Oregon.
Me too.
Beautiful.
So beautiful.
So as soon as Rajneesh, sorry, I really am bad with names. Rajneesh, as soon as he gets off the airplane, there's this interview where the people behind him heard him say, as he's getting off the airplane, he's looking around and he goes, "I am the Messiah America has been waiting for." Like, who says that about themselves? What kind of a person? Rajneesh obviously says that.
I mean, there's quite a few people that have... There's that... Did you ever watch Religiousness or whatever with Bill Maher? He just goes around and makes fun of different religions. And there's some guy like in Florida that believes that he's Jesus.
Oh, perfect.
And so like he tells everyone that he's like Jesus that came back or whatever. But I guess I've just heard of multiple people being like, "Here I am. I'm the second coming."
I'm the person.
Nurse Jackie, that guy in the apartment building that would tell everybody, he would like yell from the balcony that he was Jesus and like tell people what's like. He said that you're ugly, you're a whore.
I forgot
stuff
about
like
that.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It happens.
So once they got to America, things started going in a different direction. So he immediately wanted to be Guinness Book of World Records, the man who had the most Rolls Royces. Do you want to guess how many Rolls Royces this man owned?
Yes, hold on. Rolls Royces. And did he buy the ranch for $5 million?
They bought the ranch for $5 million. And it was, so I'll go into this.
I want to say 45.
That's a high number. I would think like maybe 15 because they're so expensive.
Do you guys really want to know how many there are? 94.
Holy crap.
94 Rolls Royces. And you know what he did to these Rolls Royces? Some of them he had like custom painted with like this crazy artwork. And anyone who owns a Rolls Royce knows that you like don't mess with them.
Yeah.
Like, don't fuck with that shit.
It's already like made specifically for you.
Did he make the world record? Because
I'm sure if there is a world record, he owns it for sure.
Oh my god.
But so this big plot of land.
Look it up.
I am Googling.
You should. This big plot of land was actually made for farming, and it was made for 6 people. It was supposed to be, when they bought it, like a 6-person plot. Mm-hmm. And so they had thousands of followers, and they had to like try and hide themselves and like put up little houses in the hills so they could kind of hide away, because it was technically not legal to have 7,000 people on this plot of land.
Hide thousands of people.
Exactly. It was very difficult, and it didn't happen. People obviously immediately started noticing that there were so many people walking around and they were all wearing the same thing. And it was strange. And they called themselves Rajneeshees.
Clever.
I know, right? And so the Americans who were in charge of that part of the country were angry. And so they decided, okay, they were trying to use the law and try and get them kicked out. And so Rajneesh and Sheena, his secretary's name was Sheena, the little girl who ended up growing up to be a secretary. She found an American law that they could use as a loophole. You can create your own city or your own town if you have at least 120 residents. And so
Wow.
they created their own town, and it was called
Rajneesh.
Rajneeshpuram. Rajneeshpuram, Oregon.
Man, what a sad human.
So in this cult, they would take all the South American members and all the Indian members and European, all the people who weren't necessarily from America. They did arranged marriages, so they would legally be able to be there and legally be able to vote, because this goes political.
Can't wait.
They didn't want people leaving without going through the right people and like asking permission. And they had all of their phones tapped because at one point someone was overheard bad-mouthing Rajneesh. And so he didn't like that very much. And so they started tapping the phones just so they could make sure what was being said about him. And each year they'd have a festival, which is where they got most of their money.
Rajneesh Fest.
I'm not sure what the festival was actually
It was probably
called.
Rajneesh Fest.
Probably. But they had people come in who weren't a part of the cult and who were like really rich and just looking for an experience. And they would pay money, like big money, to come in and dance and sing and like just hang out with this cult. Like
Just for a day.
just
or
for
a
however
weekend.
long the festival was, and they made literally hundreds of millions of dollars off of this one
like a carnival.
week. Yeah.
Like, what? That's terrifying. What if they sacrifice you?
See, I was thinking about it, and I'm not entirely sure not that I would go into a cult voluntarily, but if I didn't know it was a cult and I thought it was just a really fun festival, I might go.
If you did know it was a cult.
If I did know it was a cult, I obviously wouldn't go.
Really? Even if you knew other people that like
We're going?
We're
Yeah,
going that aren't part
probably
of
not. I also really don't like big groups of people, so
that's true.
I'm so afraid. I would be afraid that going to a cult, even though I think that I'm a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. Sorry,
you love
Mark.
your man.
I do love him. But I feel like I would be afraid to go to one because it's like, how am I stronger than them? Like, would they get me? I
Right.
don't know.
no, they wouldn't get you.
Would they
But, like, you
convince
don't
me
know
to
that.
stay?
Yeah, like how do I know that I'm going to go in and be like,
With
oh, this
pizza
isn't a
and
cult?
brownies?
Well, there
I
are
like know
things,
people
yeah.
personally that I feel like are in a cult and they don't think that they're in a cult, and it's like, oh, I'm pretty sure
I
you're
do
in
have a
cult.
family friend that was kind of in one out west. She's fine now. Like, she got out of it, but she saw how
But
bad
it's
it
like,
was.
do you
but
see that it is a cult, or like how long before you figure it out? Is it too late?
years.
Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm afraid to like. I wouldn't want to go to any of the things because I'd be afraid that
Well-
I would fall victim.
Is it weird that I feel like most cults mask themselves as religious institutes or opportunities, and
because
some
they
of
feel like it's the second coming of Jesus.
Well,
They're ahead of it.
I am a Christian, but I think that like it's very hard to decipher between a cult and a church, like a religion, because a lot of them are very similar.
yeah.
And like it's hard to like I think it's hard for people to decipher between them because once you get someone believing in something, it's easy to manipulate them, even if they don't realize that it's not a good way.
But then they think it's for the cause or it's for
Yeah,
this.
or like it's
I
for
wanna
my
do
own
good.
salvation,
Yeah,
or
I
you
wanna
know,
do
like
good.
that's what I think. A lot of things. I think that's how a lot of it happens. And
I don't want to alienate anyone, but I am not entirely sure what I believe. I think religions are a little strange and worshiping and whatnot, but I believe in being a good person. And so
Golden rule.
I could only be sucked in, I think, if it's like, hey, we've got this awesome place and it seems like a more of a community, and it's not like, oh, you've got to, I don't know. I can't even like describe what would pull me in, because most of them seem so crazy to me because they're like, oh, you have to pray for 2 hours every
have to wear
day, and
red
you
and
have
purple.
to, yeah. I don't know.
Bizarre. And I'm on the like total opposite spectrum now that we're talking about
Yeah.
things. And I'm agnostic / atheist. And I'm like cool with it. And you know, I have all friends from
All walks of life.
Yeah. And you know, it's kind of whatever brings you comfort, but I think what you said before, like the people that are looking for looking for salvation or looking for a place to fit in, like those are the people that are going to not fall for it, but fall into it easier because they
They want to believe. Yeah.
Yes,
they want it to be what they're envisioning. And most of the time it's
sad.
not.
Well, and a lot of times, like, people find religion or just something to believe in at their lowest points of their life.
Yeah.
Because they are like, well, I don't have anything, so I'm looking for something.
Yes.
And I feel like seeing other people do that, and that's how a lot of people find, like, their religious values or, like, different beliefs. And I feel like that's an easy target for people that are trying to take advantage too, because it's like, okay, well, you're at your lowest of lows, so here's something that I can do to like make you feel welcome. And
Yeah.
Sorry, we interrupted your cult story.
No, this is all.
good.
It all has to do with it.
Yes.
You know, like just being sucked into
also,
something like this.
I googled it. I know that we talked about it a little bit ago about how I googled the Rolls Royce thing,
Yes.
and they said that the Rolls Royce person is it was like a weird name. And I don't know if that was also his
one
name.
of his names.
Yeah.
Badwan-
it was like
Badwan?
yeah.
Yeah, that's one
That's
of
him.
his, that's one of
Okay.
his names.
So yes,
Yeah.
he is, but it was the one that
Bhagwan Shri
Bhagwan, yes.
Rajneeshee.
and it was like over 500 by the end of it is what I found.
He only had 94.
Or no.
So
Maybe nope, it's not Bhagwan. It's Sultan Hassanal Bolkiah.
oh, okay, different guy. So he didn't actually
did have
end
it
up
at some point,
yeah.
but then it got taken over by.
Yeah, I was
Sorry,
like
there's
500.
so many
That's not
different-
right.
Yeah.
There's so many different names that I found under that. Like they were all names that I had never heard before.
He failed at a lot of things.
So every time he would come through the, what do you call it, compound, he'd be driving one of his Rolls Royces, and people would he'd have people selling flowers, and every time he drove through, everyone had to stop what they were doing, buy flowers, and throw the flowers on the front of his car as he drove through. Isn't that ridiculous?
Oh my.
But it turns out that money doesn't make people happy. And once he got to America and had all these things going and had all the money he could ever dream of, he still wasn't happy. And so he turned to nitrous oxide to get high.
Huffing.
It was like that dentist shit. Like,
Yeah,
he
well,
would go in and sit in a recliner. They would like hook it up to his nose, and he'd be like, "Oh, more oxygen," or "Oh, more this," and he would just get high.
You can get that from like whipped cream cans and shit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And, yeah.
So he would regularly get high and slur his words, and he asked people to come in and like take pictures of him, and they'd be like, "Why do you want people to see you like this?" And I don't know. I think he started kind of turning a little crazy towards
Yeah.
the end.
Towards the end, not that he was crazy this whole time.
Oh, he was crazy the whole time, but it was less about love and compassion and meditation, and it was more about getting high and having Rolls Royces.
Yeah.
You know, like it turned into something really dark. And when he was high, one time he was like, Sheila, which was his secretary, Sheila. He was like, Sheila wants to buy me an aeroplane, but aeroplanes can't get me this high. He's like, I don't need an aeroplane.
Wow.
Yeah. So people were sad to see him that way. And Rajneeshpuram, the city, fell just about as quickly as it rose. And it made world history in the process. And I'll tell you why.
Oh.
So Sheila, his secretary, was not known for her friendliness. She was fiery. She really spoke her mind. She was just full of, she was kind of angry. And they started to get into the elections of the city. And since they had more people in their compound than the other people had in their entire town, it was easy for them to win the election. So they started putting their people up for, town whatever. And then they started using that money however they wanted to. And so the people who were in Antelope, Oregon were really angry. So in 1983, all hell boiled over, and the Attorney General of Oregon declared Rajneeshpuram an illegal city, quote unquote, because they were saying that it violated the constitutional, separation of church and state, because it was a religion, and it was also supposedly a town. And so for a couple years, Rajneeshpuram was in limbo, and it was trying to figure out like what they were going to do. And at that point in time, that's where things got real good in the story.
I'm excited.
So in 1984, 750 people in the town of The Dalles, Oregon, mysteriously and violently became ill with salmonella poisoning. Strangely.
Okay. What did the Rajneeshpurans eat?
Rajneeshees. Oh, no. These were the people of
Like near the town.
outer towns.
Oh.
So they were having issues putting the Rajneeshees candidate in office because they were now declared
townspeople.
So they were now declared an illegal city, and so they were trying to figure out how they could get less of the other city people out to vote. Salmonella poisoning, obviously. So what they ended up doing was using salmonella culture, and they went into all of the salad bars and put it on the salad bars so people would eat it.
Oh my God.
And then they would get sick. 750 people in the surrounding area got sick.
What?
I mean, there's such thing as absentee voting, like, right?
Yeah. Well, this was in the 80s. I guess that was a thing in the 80s too, but I don't know. I guess they thought maybe it would be.
Right.
This is not logical, obviously.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's a cult crime, man. Come on.
I was like thinking about this rationally.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. Okay.
And at first they thought that maybe it was just like poor sanitation on the restaurant's part. And then like the numbers just kept piling in. And so they're like, there's something really going wrong. And after months of rumor, investigators were able to tie the salmonella to the sample that they found in the Rajneeshee's clinic.
It's pretty, I mean, as far as like, as cults go, I mean, that's kind of smart. Like that they could take salmonella cultures and just distribute them to certain areas just to make people sick. Like, I don't know.
I mean, it's definitely smart.
It's something.
Is it moral or ethical?
Usually they just want to like kill themselves, which, have at it. Sorry.
Makes it easier on the rest of us.
Bye.
So disturbingly, they discovered that this was all kind of a plan up to a larger bioterror, that they were blending up salmonella infested beavers, and they were going to introduce it to the water line.
Oh my God.
What?
But they didn't end up doing that. They did end up that was their plan.
Yeah.
Their plan was to do that, and they didn't end up doing it. But because they got caught with the first small plan that,
Did it kill
got
anybody?
750. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it just made 750 people really,
I just
really
figured
sick.
like with kids or something, maybe that would be enough to kill them.
Yeah, and they also brought in a bunch of homeless people because they're like, hey, if you register to vote, we need your votes and you could be a part of our group or whatever. And so all these homeless people started registering to vote, and the city was like, okay, this is weird. We're not taking any new voters. We are, this is done. Like, only the people who have been registered for however many years can vote. And that made them very, very angry. Mostly, I think Sheila was the main, what's the word I'm thinking of? Instigator, coordinator, the person who put all this,
She was the
shit into
event
play.
coordinator.
Yeah. And later it was revealed that they were plotting the murder of a U.S. attorney who was investigating claims of immigration fraud.
Oh, because there's a bunch of foreigners.
Yeah. And so all
they were
those
just
people
trying to
were, trying to
get them
vote
out,
as
so-
well. So this all turns to this like political, they wanted to be in office and they wanted to run,
Right.
run the show. If they would have stayed to themselves, maybe it wouldn't have gone this direction.
Right,
I
if
don't
they
know.
weren't hurting anybody
Yeah.
or like stirring the shit pot.
So that's when Sheila got shunned.
Sheila got shunned.
Sheila got shunned. People didn't like.
New t-shirt.
People didn't like her. I think all the followers in that group were all about love and compassion, and they found out all this stuff, and they came to their fearless leader who was high on nitrous oxide, and were like, "Why is she speaking for you? Because she's not saying anything good, and it doesn't reflect our beliefs." And so then he was like, "You're right. I don't think that it reflects my beliefs either." And so he expelled her. And so she left. Yeah, she was banished. She went to Germany. And in 1985, she was arrested and extradited back to the U.S.
Oh, shit.
She was accused of bogus arranged marriages, setting up listening devices, propagating salmonella in order to bar neighbors from local elections, inciting attempted murder in 3 cases. So apparently there were 3 cases. And then Rajneesh was fined $400,000 for visa forgery and expelled from the U.S. Yeah, he's like, whatever. But he continued his meditation practices he continued his meditation practices back in India in 1987, and he started going by the name Osho. I think probably because all this stuff was like following him. Mm-hmm. In 1990, Rajneesh died at age 58.
From?
Probably
salmonella poisoning?
Nitrous oxide.
Oh.
I actually don't know what he died of.
Oh. Shit. I'll look it up.
I guess I gotta look it up.
It's still like a weird... I'm amazed that...
So did anyone actually die?
No one died that we know of. But it's weird to me that she got more punishment than he did,
right?
Even though he's the technical
Just 'cause
leader.
She was the...
She was the leader,
she was
just
the person
with him
who was
behind
speaking.
her. Yeah.
She was the speaker. Everyone knew her face because...
He just, like, gave up on shit.
But
Yeah.
she, like, chose all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
she
definitely.
wasn't telling her to do these things.
She was young and impressionable.
So
like,
he died of heart failure at age 58.
that's not good enough.
And before he died, he said that Sheila was innocent and a victim of American politics.
Oh my God. What a piece of shit.
So Sheila had been sentenced to 4.5 years in prison. She served 3.5 and was let out on good behavior. And now she is older. She's like 60 or something. And she's working in an old folks home in Switzerland.
And they're probably a cult.
Yeah. She seems, I mean, not saying that you can't grow out of that or like change or whatever, but like at such a young age, you being brought up in that kind of environment, you know.
I'm sure she has lots of therapy. What happened to all the people?
See, I think they all disbanded, but there are still people who like believe in his teachings, but they don't live together in a compound or anything anymore.
It's weird.
It's a strange cult.
Cults are weird. Cults just baffle me.
Are weird.
I did find one that I was looking for more information, and it was called the Ant Hill Kids. And I really wanted to do it because it looked real gory and like crazy.
We can do it for another one.
But I couldn't find a lot of stuff on it. I almost could find nothing. Like all the details were just kind of like
Hush,
mishmashed. Yeah.
It's got to be good.
I found more on this one than that one, but I think that one's just a little...
I'd never heard of this.
It's a deeper find.
As far as cults go, I guess this was probably the least horrific.
It's probably why it's not as like talked about, because everybody wants to talk about murder and everybody wants to talk about like, oh well, in Jonestown this many people like killed themselves, or
but these people tried to they
like definitely
people.
did crimes.
They poisoned
like,
people
it's
and
definitely
they
not.
almost killed people, but
They tried to kill people.
Yes,
they just
tried
didn't
to
succeed.
Yeah,
They
they
didn't
just weren't good
succeed.
enough.
yeah.
I guess.
And the blended beaver.
And then the blended beaver.
That I did Urban Dictionary that, and there is nothing that's called a blended beaver.
Yeah, there's
should-
nothing called a
we
blended
should start-
beaver.
We should make it a thing.
I don't know what we could make it.
Maybe
into,
a drink.
though.
Maybe like a really
Ooh.
slushy, like
Bloody
red
Mary?
drink.
Ooh.
Yeah, like a slush.
Like Bloody Mary.
A Bloody Mary slush.
Yep, that
I like
sounds
that.
blended
Disgusting.
beaver.
I'll drink it.
We
you like
do
Bloody
need to
Marys?
open a.
I do.
I don't like Bloody
I don't.
Marys.
I don't like tomato juice.
I only like them in the morning though. I won't drink them at night.
Well, they are. It's like a brunchy
It's a morning thing. Yeah.
We
I'm
are
in.
gonna
with a
open
crab
a-
leg in it.
a bar one day because we've come up with multiple ideas for drinks.
Yes.
So stay tuned, listeners.
We'll start a bar
One
someday.
day we will start a bar.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That
weird.
was a new one.
It's weird.
It kind of like gives me like it makes me uncomfortable.
See, I had
Heebie-jeebies.
found one
I
that
was gonna
had
say
like.
that, but it doesn't. I don't feel like full heebie-jeebies. It just makes me uncomfortable.
See, I was gonna do this one where there were like a bunch of child brides, but then I ended up not doing that one. But it was creepy. Mm-hmm. And then I
there were,
heard
like-
blended Beavers and Rolls Royces, and I was like, all right,
I'm in.
I guess I'll do that one.
Sold.
Oh,
Yeah, because child brides are in like a lot of them.
Yeah,
they are.
It's like
and we
Most
have
of
already
them.
kind of done a little too much of the child
thing
abuse thing. So
It's like the
Well, wait.
Let's
checklist
get back
of
to the
Yeah.
adults dying.
it's like the checklist of how to become a cult.
child brides.
Child brides, make your own town, make up your own religion,
Kill people.
try to try to kill people, poison people.
Either kill yourself or kill other people.
Yeah.
Somehow try to do one of
Yes.
those things.
It was. Have you ever heard of Tony Alamo or
No.
Tony Alamo?
No.
Okay, he was the one. He was the one that had like all the child brides in between like age 8 and 12.
So
And he was like, if you've gone through puberty, you're old enough to get married and have sexual relations.
Wait, is he the one that was like fairly recent?
It was like 2000 something.
Okay, then yeah, I have heard of him. I couldn't remember if that was his name.
So if you
But
guys
yes.
are interested in that,
Look it up.
let us know and
Oh.
we will
look it up.
Oh, look it up.
yourself.
No, let us know and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, as always, follow us on the social media at Pop Crime and Wine. Email us if you want to sponsor us at popcrimewine@gmail.com. That's it.
That's all.
All of the
That's
things.
all, folks.
Again, we love you and we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Love.
Please. Love.
Peace,
Love.
love, and
That's what brings us together
Peace, love, and
today.
wine.
wine. Yep.
And
Yep.
murder.
Wine
Sweet.
and murder.
We will see you next Tuesday.